at Blackberry Friday, where everyone wants the unique taste of new Dr. Pepper Blackberry.
Shoppers, hurry up, it's delicious.
Okay? You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Anyways, we got a team that's trying to be a good team. We'll see if they actually are. Falcons 2025 roster grade. Let's get this thing rolling. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Fun NFL. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the Atlanta Falcons 2025 roster grades. This is a team that I hope is really bad, but we will legitimately be going through their roster today and seeing how they did. Again, a very interesting offseason for them. They made a lot of not really big moves, but definitely moves, again, big in the draft. We'll get to that when we get into their defense. Again, this is a team that, didn't have their season. I don't think they wanted to, but they did find some things out, or not really. So, going this year, are they better off than they were coming last year? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. They're still probably, hopefully, not a competitive team for the Rams' sake, considering, again, I still don't know why they did that for James Pierce, but we'll get to him later. If you haven't watched any of the other roster grades and you're here for the Falcons, I guess, you want to listen to this, because, again, this is how we determine the Falcons roster grade. So, basically, I don't know why this is so zoomed in. There we go. There is a point total that will amount here. This is where the overall thing. So, if you really just want to see what I give them for their overall grade, you just, I guess, skip over to that. But there will be an overall grade that I give them that is right here. It is the accumulation of whatever this is, which is going to be show here after we go through the offense, and then whatever this is through the defense, and then these three other categories is probably the best way to put them. That'll amount to your overall grade, which is, in terms of a letter grade, is ranged out here. It's anywhere from an F, which is under 130 total points, which is really hard to get, and it's also impossible to get 468. So I don't know. Who knows what will happen with that? Again, if I see anything over 400 total points, you're going to get an A+ no matter what. Again, there's usually exceptions, because, again, getting over 400 is almost impossible in its own right. And then, again, you'll probably see somewhere in here, though, to be honest with you. And then we also have ranges for the defense and offense, so I can give you guys grades for that. Also, 234 total points is considered average, so if that hits it, it's going to be average. Also, the way we determine how many points you get per position is based on a weighted total, which is then, again, counted to a multiplier, and very simple math later, you get a point total for it. And again, that's just what I basically determine whatever the position group is ranked as. Anyway, or graded out as. That's all I got for you guys on that. If you want an even deeper explanation, well, go watch the Titans, because they were the first team, the Aura Farm, that's the name of it. 7-minute explanation on that. Anyway, let's get right into this, starting out with the Falcons quarterback situation. And it is safe to say for the Falcons, their quarterback situation is pretty not clear, to be honest with you. Again, when you look at it, Michael Penix Jr. will be their starting quarterback going into next year, barring any sort of injury. He has had a pretty wild career up to this point through, I would even say, high school. But, again, there's really only one thing that's going to, consistently keep him in the league, to be honest with you, again, no matter what happens, and that's the fact that he's one of the best arms in the entire NFL in terms of, overall velocity and arm strength. Great arm. He's always had a great arm. And that's what's going to keep him in the league. Again, he's kind of a statue in the pocket these days, considering he tore his ACL twice at Indiana. Also, again, there's a lot of things I don't like about him. Again, there's a reason I don't even know. I didn't grade him out too well in the draft. Him and J.J. McCarthy. I do like him more than J.J. McCarthy, because he does have that arm. But he has shown a just sort of inability to consistently read out the field, and his touch is non-existent. That's probably just the best way to put it. On top of that, I think he definitely struggles under pressure. I think he does do a decent job sometimes, releasing the ball, because it's not like he has a slow release or anything. It's just, I don't know, he just tries to, again, basically get the ball out sometimes. Again, there's some reads he makes that are just horrible. Also, again, he's not the biggest guy in terms of protecting the football. Last year, though, in those 3 games, I think he did a decent job overall. He definitely could have done better, but I mean, on a game-to-game basis, again, the numbers definitely don't support him. Again, he also had that insane senior season at Washington, so I can't take that away from him either. But again, coming out, I didn't like him. He hasn't really shown me anything to prove me otherwise, even though, again, the touchdown interception ratio didn't look terrible, was definitely not what it should have been. But still, in those 3 games, he definitely moved the ball better than Kirk Cousins did, because Kirk Cousins looked anything but the Kirk Cousins we're used to seeing after that, what was it? I don't even know what game it was. We'll probably just go to his game log so we can summarize the season. But overall, the numbers in the season were not good. That's probably the best way to put it. I mean, he did throw for a lot of yards and, stuff, but that was about it. Well, a very weird season, though. I'd probably say what game we're going to say started to fall off? I think it would probably be this one right here. So, looking at Kirk Cousins, he didn't have a good first game. He looked pretty solid against the Eagles, and then he kind of like did decent. And then he had again that insane game against the Bucs where he broke I think the Thursday Night Football passing yard record at 509. Then he did okay against Panthers, did okay against the Seahawks, even though they got blown out. I mean, not really okay, but he didn't play terrible. Then he played really well against the Bucs, really well against the Cowboys, and then he just, I mean, honestly, I don't even think this is a bad game. Like his last 4 starts, he was awful. I think what was it, 1 touchdown, like 8 interceptions or something like terrible like that. And it was insane that again they got to a point where he threw for 112 yards against Falcons, where he was just at the Raiders where they almost lost. That was actually an insane game. And then obviously he got benched. So he, again, with that massive contract they gave him to, again that was just a horrible signing by the Falcons. But again, he's kind of going to sit on his backup, and we'll see if he gets traded or something like that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Very weird situation going on there. But for a backup quarterback, he's pretty good, even though he can't move. And again, the Achilles and all that. But again, was a borderline MVP candidate 2 years ago before he got injured. Easton Stick, he had those, what is it, 4 starts maybe, or 3, I don't know. I think it was 4 starts back in 2023 with the Chargers when filling in for Justin Herbert, again, when their season was already over. He did a decent job. He was very conservative. He didn't really show much arm strength, but I think he's a pretty athletic guy. Emory Jones can't throw a football straight. Anyway, though, for the Falcons quarterback situation, I'll probably give them a D+. I really am not the most confident in Michael Penix being a true starting quarterback. I really need him to be bad, too, so I'm kind of like saying that. But I will say, I think he's better than Jaden McCarthy, so at least that's it. And again, Kirk Cousins is a backup, I guess is okay, but Kirk Cousins was not, he was literally the worst quarterback in football those last 4 starts. So, like, I don't know. Do I give him a C-? I think that is fair, but again, if you're actually thinking you're going to get consistent play out of Michael Penix next year, you just don't know. Like, no one knows actually how good he is. And that uncertainty is really scaring me, partly also because I'm not a fan of how he plays, and I just don't think he'll be a good quarterback. So that's 15 points, kind of a projection there, but what else do you want me to do with that? Let's get into the skill positions. All right, now getting to the skill positions for the Falcons. If you have not seen the offseason short for the Falcons, I do recommend seeing that. But if you didn't see it, well, Bijan, yeah, I said he was the best back in football. Am I actually saying that? No, because that's just not true. But on a real no, honestly, going into the season, I think you could make a case for it. Again, you're in for 1,500 yards, something like that. 14 touchdowns, 4th in the league in carries. He's been phenomenal his first 2 years. I think definitely better this year. Really, the only thing missing from his game are those super long runs, despite, still breaking free pretty decently. And he just hasn't had those, I guess, Saquon-esque runs, which is really the only thing you can say him over, because he's been a better receiver the past few years, and he's been a better runner overall as well. So, yes, Bijan, if he's not the best, if he's not the second best, he's probably the 3rd best running back in football. Tyler Algier is also a phenomenal backup. Last year, maybe he wasn't as productive as he was as a rookie, but he still had a very, very good season. And again, he's not a guy you're going to really expect to break any big runs either. He just, I think, breaks tackles pretty well. And as a backup guy who's a very solid pass protector, you really need him in your backfield. He's again, capable of starting running back as well, despite, having some injuries over the past couple years. Jace McClellan. He hasn't gotten any action so far. I actually think he's a decently talented player, very decisive. The only issue is I just don't think he has good twitch and good acceleration, but I don't know if that's really going to work in this offense, because the time he was really getting out there was like on freaking 3rd and long where he had like a draw or something. I don't know. It's weird. He hasn't really gotten a full look yet, but he's not going to break too many tackles, which could be a concern for him. Carlos Washington Jr., I'd be shocked if he got any carries this year. I don't know. Maybe he does with injuries, but I don't really think he's a very good player either. He's definitely got some speed, so we'll see about that. Yeah, it's still an A+ still running back, because, I mean, you got a great duo, and Jace McClellan, I still think is a solid backup, so our 3rd string. So that's going to be, I mean, that's really the only thing you say is depth, but I mean, it's obviously no, not 36 points. It's obviously an A+. You get the top 3 running back in the league, and you got a great backup. Like, what else do you need? There we go. All right, at receiver, surprisingly, this is a group that has gotten a lot better. Again, the reason I say like a little bit, I don't even know if it's a lot better, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, better than past years, I'll tell you that. Drake London is a true number 1 receiver. He's probably a top 10 guy if you really want to say that. His contested catchability and just ability to contour his body and make catches is among the best. He has phenomenal hands. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Doesn't create the most separation, but it works for the way you want him to play. Huge target. Rarely missteps on a route. I mean, simply put, he's a phenomenal receiver. Again, you're not expecting him to blow the door open or anything like that, but you don't need him to do that. And even though like his athleticism is off the charts like that, he translates well. Again, unlike a guy like maybe even Michael Pittman going in the future, he translates really well to be like in the number 1 receiver for a long time. Again, if that's what you're logistically looking for in a receiver. Darnell Mooney, he had his best year of his career last year with nearly 1,000 yards. Again, he had 1,000 yards in 2021, but again, he had 140 targets that year. On 106, he had nearly the same production. Also, I think he had a better season overall in terms of his actual consistency on film. He created major separation as our number 2 receiver. I think he is a legit number 2 receiver. Best year we've seen since that 2021 season. I think it's best year in his career as well. So if Darnell Mooney can continue to play like this, I'm maybe not expecting to put up the same, like, efficiency numbers maybe, but still, he had a phenomenal year, and you should be really happy with him. Ray McLeod is not a guy you should expect to be this good next year. I'm just going to be completely honest. I was shocked at how productive he was. Again, it's not like it was a major season or anything like that, but he played really well. Again, I don't even know, again, if you totaled all this yardage of that accumulated like this. Again, is he a third stringer, like a true third receiver? I really don't know if you could actually say that. Because he's not a natural receiver. He's a guy who can catch the ball, run with it, very fast, decent on underneath routes, definitely developed that part of his game, better hands than he's had in the past. So maybe you could say that. I think he's a fringe third receiver. Kadero Hodge, again, good depth piece in my opinion. I think a lot of people are like, who the hell is this dude? This freaking bum. Which, I mean, I guess it's fair to say he only had 7 catches last year. But I don't think he's the worst player in the world. Again, he had times where he go to the Falcons 2022, 2023, he was starting. Like, what the hell is he doing out there? But I guess it's like a blocker and sort of like, you're not going to expect him to be doing much out there. But when he is out there, again, he had that touchdown, like, he's not the worst. Again, he's a fourth receiver, maybe not the greatest thing in the world, but he's definitely not a terrible player. Casey Washington is definitely an interesting guy. Coming out of Illinois last year, didn't really get much action this year. He's a pretty smart player. The only thing I don't know if he's athletically gifted enough to actually play, but we'll see. Jamal Agnew, he hasn't done anything in like 4 years. Chris Blair is not good. Dylan Drummond, is this guy from Ole Miss? I swear it is. If this is gonna load. No, it's from East. I don't know who this is then. Whatever. They got Jesse Matthews and some David Sills. Holy crap. Nick Nash, watch out for him. He led the league country, I think, in receiving yards last year, if I'm not mistaken. But David Sills, this guy, if you want to talk about a bum, like I'm not him in general, but like talking about a bum, like a receiver, just like who the hell is that guy? That is a guy to look at. But yeah, Nick Nash. You would have added San Jose State. Jesus, that was not good. But for him specifically, he is a guy who can run intermediate routes, and he's slow, and he's just not a good player. But still, he had a crazy season last year after moving from quarterback. So, like, watch out for him. Good story there. At the receiver, though, I think I'll give them a B. I really like their top two. Ray McLeod, I cannot rationalize him as a third receiver. And then the depth isn't great either. So, I really like this receiving part. I'm going to give them a B. I think you could definitely give them higher if you really thought about it. But, like, I don't see Ray McLeod as, like, a really good third option. But, I mean, if you want to give him a B+, that's very, go all in on that. But I think I'll give him a B. Because, honestly, after, like, Ray McLeod, I really don't see anyone who's, like, actually that good. So, B. 9, 18, 24 points. Again, you can give him a B+. Go ahead. But I'm very, very, I don't know. Did you give him a B+? Oh, this might not be, this is tough. Because, like, let me think. How many more receiving rooms have a better top 3 than this? There's not, like, a ton. So, like, I think I'm going to be a little nice. I'm going to give them a B+. Because it might be a little nice, but, like, we'll get to the depth. So, like, truly, it's probably a B+. Because, again, like they got 3 top receivers there. Like, Ray McLeod, again, I don't really think he's actually that great, but, like, he had a decent season last year. All right. At tight end, this is not the greatest situation. Kyle Pitts is yet to really what is it called? Be great. But again, he's shown the pattern of having 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns throughout his career, 10 in his career, which is just absolutely atrocious. But still, if he gets 5 this year, I mean, it's progress. I mean, like, the numbers have nowhere near his rookie year. But still, I mean, Kyle Pitts is not the worst guy to have tight end. He's obviously a physical freak. He's a great player in terms of, like, like projecting stuff. But he hasn't lived the hype at all. Like, you know the story on him. Charlie Warner's a good blocker. Felipe Franks used to be a quarterback, and Tegan Cortiano was a bum. So when you look at this overall, again, not as an NFL caliber player, that's what I got again in the contest. Obviously, he like freaking. He can probably kill somebody, but still, he's like, yeah, as an NFL player, he's not very good. So, looking at this group overall, I'll probably give them a B minus. Guys, Kyle Pitts is still like a decent, again, probably the most overrated player in football, to be honest with you, but he's still not a bad tight end. Like, that's what people don't understand. You have him as your starting tight end. Yes, he can't block, but, like, there's worse guys to have. So, I'm going to say 14 points at tight end there, and now let's see what this offensive line looks like before we figure out what the offense's overall grade is. All right, now looking at the Falcons' offensive line. Again, Jake Matthews, short and sweet. Again, you don't have to worry about him. You don't have to worry about him. It's left tackle. He's been there since, like, 2014, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and yeah, he might be 33 now. He got that big contract extension. Like, don't have to worry about him. He's perfect. Storm Norton is a solid backup because he is athletic enough and can sustain blocks, but yes, he is an inconsistent player. Matthew Bergeron is a decent left guard. He, by far, his best year of his career last year, kind of saved his job with Atlanta. But ever since getting getting drafted, I think he's definitely done a better job. I wasn't the biggest fan of them drafting him. He still hasn't really turned into too much, but he had a decent year last year. Elijah Wilkinson is a former Bronco, who else did he play for? I can't even tell you if this thing loads. He's old, yeah. He played for the Broncos. Yeah, Broncos for a while. And then Falcons for a little bit. I don't even know. He's been moving around. He's a solid backup. He can mix and match. He's pretty versatile. Ryan Uziel, I think he had a decent season. overall last year, I still don't think he's a starting caliber center, but we'll see what happens. Jovan Gwynn is not fun to watch, but he's okay. Jack Nelson, Joshua Gray will have to be fighting on this roster as well for more depth. But again, both those guys have played in their career. Chris Lindstrom, probably still one of the best guards in the league. In that 2022 season, he was the best player in the entire league. Again, legitimately, not even just PFF based, like on film. If we're talking about like just overall play. 2023, still really good. Last year, I wouldn't even say it was a fall off. I think it was just probably similar to 2023 again. He hasn't quite got back to the 2022 season, but I don't know who else would have, so like whatever. Kyle Hinton's not great. Kale McGarry is a very good right tackle, again, similar to Chris Lindstrom, just on like a much less level. Had a great 2022, not great 2023. I think definitely a better last year though, so like kind of back where you want him to be. Brandon Parker's okay. Again, you're not going to really expect much out of him. Again, they got some decent veteran depth. I don't think this is the best depth in the O-line, but again, you'll work with it. So overall, probably this offensive line a B+. You could probably put in the A tier if you wanted to. But again, Caleb Gary isn't the most consistent player. Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom are really the only legit guys in this O-line. But overall, it's still a pretty decent group. I mean, you can't be mad about that, especially with the decent depth. We'll get more on that later. But that's going to be 18 points. And then when we add it up with the overall offensive grading, we'll go 15, 36. 27, 14, 18. That's not good. We're gonna get a pretty decent 110 for the offense. So that's gonna put them in the B- tier, which I think is fair. Because again, looking at this group overall, guys, like really solid group of position players. Really good. I like this O-line a lot. That might be a little bit nice giving a B+, but I think that is fair. Again, I'm definitely being generous like that. Again, it's just really is Michael Penix good? I don't think he will be. So that's part of the reason they're not maybe even higher. But again, Kirk Cousins, like, if he didn't stink it up last year, he'd probably be, like, around here. So that would probably mean they're more like a B+. Like, that's a really well put together offense, guys. There's no way around it. Yeah, maybe the depth at some positions isn't great, but you can definitely work with that. Let's get in this defense, starting with the front seven, though. And the Falcons defense is definitely a good talking point here. Again, another, we at least have a, what is it called? I'm geeking out. We at least have back to a 3-4, which, again, is pretty weird because, again, they didn't run it. They were in a 4-3 for a while. But that's besides the point. This Falcons front seven, starting out with the D line, is actually very interesting. Morgan Fox is a very good player. He might not be the most consistent run defender, but ever since that 2020 season with the Rams where he had 6 sacks, he's been a solid pass rusher, especially in terms of the pressure rate and win rates, pressure rate and win rates. But on film, again, he might not be as dominant as he might have been like a couple of years ago, but he's still a really solid player. Has a really nice power, speed sort of blend there. He's going to do a lot of damage there. Zach Harrison last year just really wasn't cutting it, to be completely honest with you guys. He had did a decent job in 2023 as a rookie. I never thought he was the greatest player, but yeah. And then 2024 last year, he kind of struggled against the run, wasn't really getting it done. So that's why he's going to be a backup this year. Ruka Aworo, I hated this pick. He was just not good last year. Going to give him a start, though, because it is just nose tackle. And, I mean, again, his job is basically generally just stop the run and maybe get a little bit of pressure, considering they took him with the 35th pick 2 years ago. But still, I mean, there's worse guys to have there. Contavious Street is a decent backup. David Onyemata is by far the best guy on this D-line, though, overall. Not just simply put, he might be not the greatest person off the field, but he simply just stuffs the run and is just very productive on the interior for pass rusher. Very underrated player. Maybe wasn't as good as he's been in the past. He's kind of old now. What is he now? 32. Yeah, he's kind of getting older, but he's still a really solid player. He'll probably slow down at some point. I mean, again, Cam Jordan even had his day, but still. Taquan Graham is not great. He just simply is a very flawed player, to be completely honest with you guys. But I mean, on film, he looks okay. Brandon Dorlus is a guy that's kind of flat for me. I kind of liked him coming out of the draft, but he just simply can't get on the field because he's just not good enough. So, I mean, maybe we'll see him, but again, I'm kind of disappointed with how he's turned out so far. But anyway, for the D-line, I'll probably give them a B. I think I'll give them a B. Because, like, the depth isn't bad at all, and I really like these guys. Rugo Oro is just not very good. So, I think a B is fair, though, because, like, you got two really solid players and we'll give it a B-. Because, like, nose tackle isn't the big, probably, like, the least sort of important part of your defense, to be honest with you, unless, like, you have a team that's built around it. So, I think they've done a decent job here, but, like, I mean, Rugo Oro is just not a very good player. So, I think a B-. Again, like, both of these guys, like, David Onyemata is, like, high-end B tier. Like, I'm be honest, Morgan Fox is really good, too. So, this is tough. I'll probably give them a B-. You could probably argue a C+, but you know where to stay with a B-. So that's because like both those guys definitely outweigh Ruka Warrior at the end of the day. So that is 6, 12, and 14 points for the D line. But then again, like, how is David Onyemata's run defending that? Again, we can live with it. All right, let's get the linebacker before we figure out this pass rush. All right, Caden Ellis is a very good linebacker. Last year maybe wasn't as in terms of like the statistics, in coverage, maybe he wasn't as responsible. I don't even know how to say this. He just wasn't as good as 2023. But the turnover rates were up. He was very dominant overall. Huge playmaker for this defense. He is, I wouldn't say a high-end linebacker, but a very good player. Divine Diablo, very athletic player. Again, he has coverage capabilities, which will be very valuable this year. But he hasn't really been able to stay completely healthy the past 2 years. And again, he was definitely laboring in 2023. Last year, I think he did do a decent job, though, in what wasn't a very good situation. Again, he's going to be a guy they're going to try to mix and match in a lot of ways. That's why they signed him. But the question is, like, is he actually going to be very good? We'll see. Troy Anderson's going to get, I think it's shot to start, maybe, because he's just so athletic. But he's just horrible. I mean, absolutely, his instincts are, like, absolutely, like, horrible. Like, they're not good. But with that athleticism, again, they've been working around. He's definitely developed somewhat. So, again, that is good. So, decent depth at the end of the day. And then JT Bertrand. Very responsible player, just not the fastest, and I don't know if he'll ever be a guy you can really trust in main coverage. So that's what I'll say. But for a linebacking group, I really like this. I'll probably give him a B. You can definitely give him higher, but like I don't think Caden Ellis isn't like anything like elite, but he's a very good player. And then Don Diablo still hasn't been the most consistent. And then the depth is good. So honestly, I think it's a B. Again, you could probably give him something different if you really wanted to. Again, B plus, B minus, pick your poison. But I'm good with B. That's 918, and what is that? 24, I think, if we're going to look at linebacker. All right, pass rush. Starting out with the edge rushers, they signed Leonard Floyd, who's been a very savvy player ever since he went to the Rams. Again, when you go to the Rams, you do good things. He had again, you really didn't do much for the Bears, again, for those 4 years. Had his best year in 2020. 2021 arguably was better. Still had a pretty good year as the Rams really only pass rushed for the second half of the year. I will say his numbers did drop off. If we go back to that 2021-2 season. After Aaron Donald left, like you look at it, he had like, how many? He had 1 sack after Aaron Donald got injured. So I mean, that is kind of tells you the story there. No, wait, where is it? No, what am I talking about? Hashtag casual. I don't know. No, it was my bad. I was thinking of the other way around. 6 games. Yeah, whatever. He didn't have a sack for his first 6 games, but that's besides the point. Leonard Floyd's a really good player. Definitely not a number 1 pass rusher, but he's really good. Jalen Walker has the potential to be that. He'll be used in a lot of different ways. That's part of the reason they picked him at number 15. Like, really didn't wait on that. It was a very good pick at the time. He's a guy who might not be your true number 1 pressure sort of edge rusher, but he's going to do a lot for you that other edge rushers just won't be able to do. And he's still going to provide very, very good pass rush. Maybe not like top of the freaking league sort of thing, but still, honestly, he has the potential to be elite. He's a great player. It'll just be interesting to see how he develops. James Pierce Jr. probably, I think, has a little bit higher ceiling as a pass rusher, but at the end of the day, he's not, again, a guy that was really great against the run last year, even though that's part of the reason, sort of this floor sort of thing for teams. He's got some work to do for development. Insane athleticism, again, he was predicted as the number 1 pick. Before last college football season, there's a reason for that. I really like him a lot. I'm probably a little higher than some other people are again at this point with him. But they completely transformed this pass rush this offseason. There's no way around it. Arnold Ebiketie not good. Braylon Trice also not good again, despite it was 1 year. So I think he definitely has a better chance of getting making something happen than Arnold Ebiketie. D'Angelo Malone, again, I don't know how he's on this team, and then you got some other guys. So overall, this pass rush was probably one of the worst in the league last year. But it's definitely respectable now. But again, it's still a bunch of rookies, so we really can't be too crazy about it. I'll say they get a B with very high potential, considering, Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Leonard Floyd, David Onyemata, and Morgan Fox are all very good at getting after quarterback. I'd even give them a B plus if you wanted to. But again, the fact that none of these guys have proven them as a true number 1 edge rusher, but you're not going to get that out of Leonard Floyd. You know that. So you got 2 guys that could be that. We'll see what happens. I think the depth is actually decent, too. Again, Arnold Ebiketie, he's not good. But, like, as a depth piece, you can probably work with it. But yeah, this was absolutely one of the worst pass rushers in the league, probably the worst for a while now. And I'm very impressed with what they did this offseason. Again, despite having to give a first-round pick for it. But yeah, we're gonna give him a B. I think that's fair. So the depth is definitely gonna speak there, but I think a B is fair just for next. They don't have a number on an edge rusher. But we're gonna B plus. No, they got 2 rookies. We're gonna stick with a B. That's gonna be 12, 24, and 30 points, I think, or 32 points for the pass rush. Now let's look at the secondary before we figure out what this defense looks like. All right, Falcons secondary has a lot of good things and a lot of bad things going on. First things first, AJ Terrell is still one of the more underrated players in the entire NFL. Yeah, last year might not have been, I wouldn't even say close, but I would say as good as that 2021 season where he was probably top 4 corner in the league that year. Then 2022 fell off a little bit. 2023 was a little better than last year. I think it was probably his best year since then. Definitely a lot more physical than what we saw the past few years. Again, he's still one of the better corners in the league. Man press, that's what you're going to get out of him. That's what you know you're going to get out of him. He's a very good player. Mike Hughes, again, I still getting over the fact that the Vikings drafted him in 2018 and he was just absolute huge bust. With the Chiefs, wasn't much better. With the Lions, was okay that 1 year starting. It still wasn't good, but he was okay. In the past year with the Falcons, he's gotten a little bit better. Last year he started, and I think he did do an okay job. He's still not a guy you're going to be like, oh, I'm scared of. But you can definitely see why the Vikings took him back then in terms of what you saw this year. Clark Phillips, so yeah, he's okay. Keith Taylor's a guy I think can be decent depth. Will he actually be a guy you expect to mix and match on in terms of like a number one corner receiver? Absolutely not. That would not be good. Clark Phillips can do that. He is insanely versatile. He's shown a real capability to tackle and very good instincts and awareness. But the problem is he has just not really carved out a starting role yet. And I think, again, unless those coverage rates go down, I don't think they can actually do that. Because on film, he looks really good. D. Alford, I actually like him in the slot. Again, last year was his real first year as like a true like full-time starter, like go out there and do your thing. And I think he did do a pretty good job. The only issue I saw was the fact that, again, he gave some very, very, very big gaps against some of those runs on those outside zone sort of things. Outside of that, though, he's really solid in coverage. He's you know what you're gonna get out of him. Billy Bowman is a guy I think that is definitely a higher ceiling overall, despite maybe not being as athletic in a lot of ways or as fast. But he's got probably arguably the best instincts on this entire defense. I mean, there's one guy that maybe not, but still, Billy Bowman's a really, really good player. So, in my opinion, I really like him out of the draft, part because he played with me. But again, there are flaws with him. That's why he wasn't picked in the freaking first round. But still, very deep second cornerback room. I like it a lot, despite a guy like Mike Hughes probably not being your ideal number 2 corner. But overall, I'll probably give him a B at corner. Because I think D. Alford's a solid player. AJ Terrell. Again, being a number 1 guy, and Mike Hughes, again, not being your ideal number 2, but you can definitely deal with it. Again, if he was better, you could probably give him higher. But again, you can't really be too mad with this group. Again, if you were given it, you're like, yeah, I can live with that. So 16 points. Then we look at safety. Yeah, maybe Jesse Bates wasn't the best safety in football last year. He was still obviously elite. Yeah, but maybe not the same player we saw in 2023, but still elite player. He's getting older though. He's 28 now, so just keep in mind with that now. Jesse Bates is an elite player. Jordan Fuller. I've always been underwhelmed with him. There's a reason that, the Panthers weren't too thrilled with how he played last year. Again, he did get injured, but still, and he's going to be your typical back safety. He's going to make a bunch of tackles. He's going to be okay in coverage. Like, yeah. He's going to be a guy who's a starting caliber player. Xavier Watts, he's definitely a guy that I think is better than Jordan Fuller, to be completely honest with you guys. Again, he's just, like I said, if Billy Bowman doesn't have the best instincts in coming out of the draft, it was probably Xavier Watts, because he's just as insanely instinctive. He's got really good athleticism and stuff. The only issue is, does he have the coverage capabilities? A guy who can really run with these horses? I really don't know. We'll see, though. Again, he's a phenomenal player. DeMarco Helms is not very good. He's shown at times that he could be a capable player. Again, he didn't play at all last year. I don't really know. Injured, who knows? But yeah, he don't know too much about him. They got Josh Thompson, who is just going to kind of be there. Kobe Bryant is a guy who could make this roster as well. Very interesting secondary, though. I'd probably give corner, though, definitely a B+. Yeah. You could even put in the A tier if you wanted to. But again, I don't think Xavier Watts is as good as a guy like Malachi Starks. So I think we're going to say a B+ to safety, because even Jordan Fuller, they got a really good thing going on there. Maybe you could even argue it's an A tier, but I'm going to say a B+. That's going to be 9, 18, 27 points at safety. And then when we figure out this overall defensive grade is, it's 24, 14, 32. 16 plus 27, that's going to be 113 points for that defense, and that's going to put them in the B- tier, which I think is fair. They are in a really good spot. Some positions like safety, Xavier Watts balls out. They're probably one of the best safety duos in the league, and even then, like, Jordan Fuller is going to be solid. Cornerback, is Mike Hughes going to be like, maybe better than he was last year, despite, having arguably his best year of his career? Again, a guy like Billy Bowman or Clark Phillips going to step up, we'll see. That's really questions in that secondary, like someone stepping up. And then again, we'll probably talk about the rest of this with the identity. But with that said, that's all I got for this defense. Let's look at this again, the identity and some other things. And at kicker for the Falcons, as we look at their special teams unit, it is Young Hoku, who's been their kicker for how many years now? It's been a while. He was not good last year. That's all I can say. Again, he got injured though, so I don't know. 2017, 2018. He's a good kicker. I'm probably comparing again. I don't want to be like racist or anything, but he's a worse version. Kind of fair, but don't tell me I'm wrong. They have very, very, very similar stats. Bradley Pinion, he's a good punter. Not great, though. Jamal Agnew is shown as a good punt returner. Graham McLeod's a great kick returner. And then Liam McCall is a decent long snapper. He's been here for probably 4 or 5 years now. With that said, though, their special teams unit doesn't wow me. They've had their issues in the past. I'll probably give them a B- anyway, though, because they definitely got some potential. That's probably 7 points for special teams unit. Depth. Quarterback depth is probably an A. I mean, yes, I don't really think Kirk Cousins is the greatest, but as a back quarterback, probably the best in football, if you had to guess. Running back depth, again, it's not the most deep, but again, like, Ty Alligator is a freaking starting running back, so it's probably going to be an A. No, I'll give it an A-. We're probably still at an A, though, for depth so far. Receiver depth scares me. I'd probably give it a D, which is probably going to put us at a B- at this point. So B-. Tight end depth is probably also a D. That's going to probably put us at probably a C at this point, to be honest with you. So kind of a fall from grace. C, O-line depth, I'd probably give a B, which is going to be up to a C+. C+. And then look at this D-line, I'd probably give that a B plus. I think that's fair. So B plus from C plus. I'd probably say the B or C is probably a B minus. B minus. Edge rusher depth, I'd probably give a B. It's good, but is it that good? I know what, screw it. We'll give it a B plus. Even though RMK and Brandon Tice really haven't proven themselves as being that good. As rotational guys, they should be pretty productive. So we're probably at a B so far. B linebacker depth, I'd probably give honestly even an A. No, it's not that good. Yeah, it's an A. It's an A. They got legit 2 backups. So that's an A. That's gonna put us at B plus. I'd say B plus. Cornerback depth isn't bad either, but again, it's unproven. So I'd probably say it's a B minus. So we'll probably sell it a B plus if I had to guess. B plus safety depth is probably A minus. So I'd honestly say we're at an A minus for this depth. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in A minus. So the Falcons overall, outside of like 2 positions, I think they do creep in the A tier because like they're really outside of that what is called receiving position and tight end position. They have really good depth across the board. And I think that does warrant an A minus. Yes, you could say, oh yeah, you have like holes at 2 positions in terms of depth. Like they can't be an A tier. I think that is a good point. At the same time, though, there's some positions that are probably one of the, if not the deepest, one of the deepest in the league. For that reason, I think an A minus is fair because the Falcons are a pretty darn deep team when you look at it overall. So that's 12, 24, 36, and 40 points. Which it could make it hard for them to go pretty bad down south. But we'll see what happens. They're a deep team though. That's kind of how it is. Definitely probably their biggest strength if you look at it overall. All right. Now looking at the identity of this football team. Offensively, it comes down to the fact, can Michael Penix not be an idiot when throwing the football? If he's not an idiot, they should be good. But yeah, that's a big question. So I'll probably say a C for their offensive identity. Defensively, they're going to be good. It's like, secondary has to be great because our pass rush sucks. It should be good this year. It's going to be really good, honestly. Again, the only question is, can one of those guys step up? So I'd probably say a B. Overall, I'll say a C+. Raheem Morris has a lot of stuff, has to prove himself this year because last year they just weren't good enough, simply put. So, yeah, that's going to be 30 points for them. Let's see what this overall roster grade is. I'm telling you, it should be pretty decent. And after doing the calculations, the Falcons come out with a very, I wouldn't even say surprising, but I'd say very nice 300 points. I was not expecting them to be that high. But again, 300 points is going to land them right in the B tier, which I honestly think is good. Guys, this is a Falcons roster that it's not bad. Like, there's no way around it. It's actually a really solid roster, if anything. The only thing that's, like, not great is the fact that I don't know if, Raheem Morris is the greatest coach. And, the quarterback situation. If they had a good quarterback, this is probably one of the best rosters in the league, to be honest with you guys. People are like, oh my God, the freaking Vikings, their roster is so good. That is true. We'll get to the Vikings. But the Falcons might be just as good, to be honest with you guys. Like, those 2 teams, a ton of similarities with them. Maybe not the coaching, but still. A lot of similarities with those teams. I'm going to love to talk about the Vikings when we get to them as well. But, yeah, Falcons fans, you got a pretty decent roster. That's what I'll say about it. We'll see how the prediction turns out. But, yes, B, 300 total points. Really good showing for the Falcons today. Let's get the next team, which, again, maybe a division rival. We'll see. Here's the hint.
McCluster, and oh, my goodness. That is Shaq Thompson, the rookie #1 pick. And I mean, he laid a big one on McCluster.
This is what we used to call, let me introduce myself, Tony.
Absolutely. Now this right here is how you tackle. Right here. Wrap them up, lift them up. It's almost like a wrestling move, like a double leg takedown right there. I like how he drives his feet and doesn't let the guy with the ball, the runner, go and get any more yardage right there. That's called stone cold stop.